Garvey, and I am Solar Cookers International's database and development manager. Previously, I worked in impact investing in Washington, D.C., and now at Solar Cookers International, I tell the story of your work to SCI supporters and help share the great things you all are doing. Today, I'd like to speak briefly to open a conversation about risk management in our sector. I'll be drawing from the World Development Report. This report is current of this year. It's produced by the World Bank and available on their website at worldbank.org. It's called Risk and Opportunity, Managing Risk for Development. And if you're interested in this topic, I can recommend an online course I'm taking from Coursera, which dives more deeply into the report and its recommendations. It's a 4-week course they offer from time to time. If you'd like to know more about it, my contact information will be at the end of this presentation, or you can ask me about it here at the convention. So what is risk management? Well, it's an ongoing process. It involves identifying risks, preparing for them, and responding. And hopefully when you're responding to risk, you are learning lessons that you can then apply to better prepare, and you start again. So risk management is an ongoing cycle. It never ends. There are two objectives. One is to produce resilience. With risk management, we want to reduce our losses when a shock happens. When something unexpected happens, we want to reduce the negative effect of that shock. We also want to improve our recovery. Both of those are part of resilience and responding to risk. And the other objective is achieving prosperity. With risk can come opportunity, and we want to be able to take advantage of opportunity and be able to prepare for risk so that we can succeed. And risk management is also a broad process. It works for multinational partnerships, and it works at an individual level for our own lives as well. So quite a broad application of risk management. Today I want to talk about the fear of risk. Risk is not always harmful, but missed opportunities can be. And I want to talk about the lean season, which is why I have a picture of a farm field up here. The best time for farmers is the harvest. That's when all the crops are picked and they go to market, and the farmer starts to make money on the crop. But right before the harvest, that can be a risky time. The lean season can be the dry season. And if there's rainy and dry season, well, you worry about your crops when it's not raining. But there's also opportunity during this risky time. A risk-averse farmer who is fearful of not receiving enough rainfall is going to repeat what has been done in previous generations. He or she will plant the same crops and do what's been done in previous years. But if we can lessen the risk, it can empower the farmers. So what can we do to reduce that risk? If we paid farmers when they had a year with low yield, they would have an incentive to do poorly. Well, they may have an incentive. And that's called moral hazard. And we can avoid moral hazard and address risk with something called index insurance. It moves a payout of insurance from individual performance to an indicator that can be measured, such as rainfall. And in the World Development Report, we have an example of where this was done in India. Farmers were offered rainfall insurance to protect them from the risk of the dry season. When this was done, farmers grew more drought-resistant crops, and they increased their investment in their operations. So you can see they got more fertilizer, they bought more seeds, they hired labor, and they invested in other ways in their operations. So they had more opportunity because they were protected from the risk of a dry season. So how does this apply to solar cooking projects? Let's identify some of the risks to begin solar cooking. If we're trying to help a village, a hypothetical village, start to solar cook, they might be wondering whether to invest in the technology. Do they get much sunshine? This village might have seasonal flooding. And in this example, let's say the cardboard cook-it is the best solar cooker for the situation. There are a few things we can do to address risk in this situation. We can prevent the cardboard cricket from being damaged by the seasonal flooding in this village. It can be stored in a plastic bag. So we, as the project leaders, can send the cricket with some type of device to keep it from being damaged. That's prevention. We can improve knowledge. We can do flood warnings for the village. You know, if that's the situation of their community, if we tell people when there's going to be a flood, they have time to move themselves and their belongings to higher ground. That's something we can do to reduce the risk. We can protect them from the risk. If we provide flood insurance, that's an option we have. If their property is damaged, if their cardboard cricket is damaged in a flood, we can replace it with the flood insurance. This is a small example of ways to think of managing risk in our projects. So, if we don't address the risks of starting the solar cook, fewer people will learn. And we know the status quo has tragic consequences for people's health and the environment. We also need to think of reducing risks for ourselves as a sector. This includes making a better case for investment in our projects by improving our reporting. We're reducing the risk of others investing in us. And we will also need to take away from today beginning a conversation or continuing conversations about risk management in the solar cooking sector. And finally, think of risks in your own projects. How can they be addressed? And if they're addressed properly, will there be more opportunities to succeed? And share those ideas with each other at this convention. And as we move forward from this convention, let's think of new opportunities for solar cooking. And here's my contact information. Feel free to ask me about this later or during the question and answer. Thank you very much.